Haven't worked on. Oh, hi, I'm Paul Brodie. We're back in the shop, and thanks for joining us. Mitch behind the cameras. I have a friend, his name is Thomas, and he likes bicycles. He's built about 10 frames, and he's an enthusiast for sure. He's not into motorcycles so much. And we had a conversation recently, and he says, you know, you haven't done anything on the channel on bicycles for a very long time. And I said, well, that's true. So one thing that he does for other people is to put a disc brake mount on the back of an older frame. This is a good upgrade because it's good to have a good brake, and the disc brakes are definitely good these days. So I used to teach Frame Building 101, and all of the students there, a lot of them, had a disc brake mount on the back. Now, you can buy a disc brake tab, I guess you'd call it, and they look something like this. There's different flavors of them. But in my experience, you can't buy one of these and put it on a frame. It just doesn't work. It doesn't fit properly. So what I have here is, this is left over from the class, and the students used to make up a template out of cardboard that fits onto the frame. And I have a jig. This is one that I made. And on the disc brakes on the back, there are 3 different kinds of mounts. This is called an ISO mount. ISO for ISO standard, something like that. I'm not sure exactly, but ISO. And then there is a post mount. And this is an Insepi jig and fixture, and it's a post mount. See how the bolts go in on the side here? This is the ISO, and then on the post mount, the bolts go down from the top. This is older, this is newer. And then there's also what they call a flat mount, and the flat mount goes onto the chainstays, and it's a bit of a issue to make it nice and good. It's not as easy as doing this or this. So, and this usually fits a smaller rotor, like this one's a 140, and I think you can put a 160 on there, but if you want a bigger rotor, it doesn't work. So the first thing we have to do is to make up a mount. Now, I had one of the people taking the classes, he wanted to make one that looked like a mountain. And here's a couple examples here. And I thought, that's a little crazy. And I wasn't sure about that at all. And then after he made it, I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. So even though I was the instructor in that class, I was learning too. So that's always a good thing when you're constantly learning. I have a frame here. I've had it for a long time. It's a Rocky Mountain. I'm told it's an 88 hammer, and it's got the cantilever brakes on the back. I can see this post is bent. And I was looking at the frame yesterday, and I realized that, oh, it doesn't have any threads for the rear derailleur hanger. So that's a problem. So it's kind of a junk frame, but we can use it for our purposes here, for me to show you how I would add a disc brake mount on here. So I bead blasted this yesterday and cleaned it up. And what we're going to do is to hold it in the vise here. I'll get a couple frame blocks, and then this will be at the right height. And then I got some cardboard. We'll put on the fixture. And we'll design. Oh, I realized right away when I put this on earlier, one of the first things I got to do is to take off the braze on here for the fender, because the mount goes basically right on top of that. So it's going to be in the way. Can you see how this works here? This goes into the dropout like that. Make sure it's all the way up into the dropout. And can you see here how the braze, well, it's not a braze on, it's part of the dropout, but it's going to be in the way. So that's one of the first things we'll do. I'll take a hacksaw and take that off. Find some cardboard. Thanks for tuning in. Got a brand new blade here. Haven't worked on. Oh, I did make it pretty tight. Wow, that's a first. I've never broken a blade like that. That was brand new. All right, so here we go. It'll come off. There we go. I'll take a file it up. Okay, switch files. There it is. Okay, that's going to work fine. If you've got a vise and you want to hold a frame block is good. This is hardwood. I don't know what kind, but... And then there's a hinge here. I make mine out of leather. You can use rubber. It all works. I'm going to take one of these. These are the ones you can buy. And we're going to see if it fits at all. Just for fun. Okay, so this is one way. And really, you want this to be down almost as far as possible, because otherwise it's kind of hanging way up in the air. So we'll put this the other way. No, okay. Well, if that came down like that, I guess that could work, but you'd have to take off a bunch of metal, and so we're going to make our own. So this is basically what I do. I start with this guy and I mark out the holes, because the holes have to be the right spacing. This is just so I can get started. Got a 1/4 inch hole punch. Punch the holes. And then I can start working on the shape. So I'm just bending the cardboard. And then I'm going to make a line here, more or less. Like that. And then for here, looks like it comes down like that a bit. And then in the middle, I'm not going to have anything. So something like that. And then I'll do some brazing. I'll use nickel silver. I'll braze that and I'll braze that. Don't have to braze along the whole thing. Oh, so that worked out pretty good. Can you see how that matches there pretty well? It looks like I've got to take a little bit more off the front here. Like that. And then come up. Okay. I think that's good for a start. I'm gonna transfer this onto a larger piece. I've got a template. That's what I'm calling this. We'll just see what it looks like. I'll mark it out here. It can all change. I don't think this frame's ever going to get used, so this is just to show you what's involved. I feel like I'm back in art class now or something like that. I think when you're building a frame, you are somewhat of an artist. I sent Mitch some images this morning, and these are of bikes that I have. And you can see other mounts for the disc brake on the back. As you can see, there is a multitude of ways you can do this. Okay, so that's what it looks like. It's different. And the first thing I'm going to do is to drill the holes, and I'm going to use this as a template because I know that those holes are the right spacing. I'll use vice grips just to clamp it on. So there we go. It's a mountain range, a disc brake mount. Okay, I'm bolting it on now, and then as I lower it down, it comes down at an arc. I have to take off metal to make everything fit nicely. So see what's happening? It's hitting right in here. This has to come down to the seat stay. So can you see that? Make sure that's all the way up. And I need to take off metal there. So back to the bench, the vise, and filing. Oh, look at that. That looks fine. So I'll just take off the burrs and do that. Looks good. Everything is fluxed up. I'm going to heat it up, got the torch going. I'm going to do a couple of tacks, and then I take off the fixture, and then I nickel silver all around. So that's what's going on. So I'll get the flame pretty hot. I've got a 0 tip here. Should be good. Okay, it's tacked. So I'm going to take off the fixture. There we go. All right, little nickel silver all around. So I'm going to watch this nickel silver here, and when it starts to flow, that's when I know we're up to temperature. I let it flow a little bit so that it wicks along the joint, and then I add a little bit of nickel silver. That's my technique. It works quite nicely. Make it nice and smooth, then you don't have to do any filing, because it's hard to file nickel silver. It's pretty tough, and it doesn't want to file easily. So if you can make it flow nicely and not have to do any filing, that's a bonus. Can you see it? There you go, it's starting to melt. So you notice the angle of the torch, I'm going up more because this is heavier than the seat stay. It's going to take more heat, so I'm not going straight on. Yes, can you see it wick? And then when it wicks, that's when I add. Let me get rid of this blob. So, there we go. Oh, that was nice. So that's smooth. Now come around the back. There, can you see it melting and wicking? There we go. And that's it. I have nickel silvered on a disc brake mount. A modification for an old mountain bike. Works really well. Thanks for watching. Mitch and I like coffees, you know that. It really helps the channel to survive. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends. See you next time.